Yan. So the next episode that we will be talking about, and this comes after years again of of not being here. Oh, there's a lot of stories within that span. But today we'll be talking about the arrest of former Philippine President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So this is the hot issue now, in our country. Yung recent arrest ni former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte by the International Criminal Court. And it has sparked intense debate, diba? Reflection, and a national introspection. No? So ayun na naman tayo. We are torn from side to side, and we are at the precipice of an intellectual civil war, so to speak. Ayun polarized na tayo. Before, mas lalo tayo mapopolarize kasi as you very well know, hindi na yan mga kulay, yellow or pink versus before Duterte when he won. And then eventually, nag-side si Marcos kay Duterte, and now they got separated. And ngayon, all-out war. Ang daming issue dito, but the question now is, should we as a nation have allowed this to happen? Should we have allowed this to happen? And nangyari na nga but dapat lang ba na ganun yung gawin natin? No? So we have considerations from both sides of the debate. So dun sa mga pabor sa pag-aresto, of course, yung those who are supporting ICC intervention, maraming pinanggagalingan to It can be those who are pro-Marcos or anti-Duterte. You can be also pro-justice, no? So, syempre, andyan yung justisya number one, I would say, is the justice for the family of the victims. Ang point doon is that kailangan mabigyan ng justisya yung mga families na naiwan ng mga mahal nila sa buhay, mga nawalan na mahal nila sa buhay dahil sa di umano'y extrajudicial killings. And we have not given them, their day in court. In fact, they were just killed, massacred in the unjust war for, to rid the nation, so to speak, of quote-unquote criminals. So, kumbaga, hindi natin sila binigyan ng right to defend themselves or to give their day in court. In fact, some of them, according to siyempre sa mga family members, most of them, if not all of them, are were unjustly killed. No? Number two, I would say yung command responsibility. Siyempre, bilang dating Pangulo, he was the president. Si Duterte, siyempre, may pananagutan siya sa aksyon ng kanyang administrasyon, the policy, particularly yung kampanya kontra droga. And I would say his strong stance exacerbated the situation because siyempre siya nga may-ari, siya yung sinusunod ng mga police. And when the police, would hear him say, patayin, whatever. So, natural. Ganun yung mangyayari. And this has been this become the failure of that. Kasi nga, may mga taong di umano hindi naman talaga dapat napatay, Ayan. So, number 3, hindi nararapat yung tahasang pananalita ukol sa pagpatay, Hindi angkop bilang isang pangulo. Siyempre, with all due respect kay Tatay Digong, hindi dapat na bilang president na magsasalita ka ng patayin, di ba? Maaring humantong ka kasi ito sa isang maling pananaw at karagdagang karahasan na hindi sana nangyari kung hindi nanggagaling sa top yung ating parang command na nga to kill, di ba? Yun. So, I would say, yun, medyo sablay tayo doon. And so, parang in this sense, okay, he was just reaping what he sowed. And, buti nga siya, binibigyan pa siya ng day in court, ganito, ganyan. Kasi nga, during his term, he was just saying, kill those people pag lumaban or siguraduhin yung lumaban para meron tayong right patayin, di ba? So, yun yung mga ganong sa tingin ko ay naging medyo as a matter of policy kasi he's the president. Okay. Number 4, yung pagpapatibay ng demokrasya at karapatang pantao, yung human rights, no? Malinaw na mensahe na hindi natin kinukonsinti ng bansa, no? Hindi kinukonsinti ng bansa yung pag-abuso sa kapangyarihan, especially yung against human rights abuse. Of course, we don't want to be tagged as a nation na we don't regard human rights. Kasi ano na lang ang kaibahan natin sa mga places. We don't want to say those countries, but you know who they are, you know what they are, and we don't want to be associated with that kind of tag, na dito sa bansa natin walang regard for human life or human rights, di ba? Number 5 would be the transparency of the government, yung pagsang-ayon sa ICC ng government, kasi dito is that hindi naman kami hindi naman kami ang nag-aresto, sabi ng Marcos, merong warrant serve namin kasi nga transparency ng government yan. We need to comply with ICC kasi it's one step upang ipakita na handa tayong harapin ang mga issue ng may katapatan at pananagutan. We need to be loyal to the truth, and may responsibility tayo. We need to be transparent in that sense. Alangan namang hindi natin siya ipatupad, itago natin si Duterte or sabi natin hindi kayo allowed dito, you don't have jurisdiction here, parang ganun, lalo lang natin siyang palalalain, lalo na't merong mga hindi lang kasi ilan, so madaming nagsusumigaw ng mga boses, mga families na nawalan, ng mahal sa buhay natural. Number 6 is it's also a fight sa tinatawag nating culture of impunity. Kailangan matigil na yung kultura ng kawalang pananagutan sa mga nasa posisyon. Kasi if we'll continue to do that, then hindi lang matatapos dyan, patuloy yun mangyayari. Siyempre si Duterte, maraming nagmamahal sa kanya dahil he is really I would say well-loved president, maraming ganun actually, yung mga talagang actually yung mga nagiging merong risk na maging tyrant are the people who are massively supported by the people. Kasi hindi naman sila makakarating doon. Well, look at Hitler, diba? Look at Putin, for example, or some other history, political personality in history. So yan, kailangan bigyan natin siya ng responsibility, yung kasi kung hindi mawawalan tayo ng mukhang ihaharap, lalo na sa international community. Number 7, yung pagpapanumbalik, I would say, sa trust sa hudikatura, sa judiciary. So, pagpapalakas ng tiwala ng publiko sa hustisya na hindi naman pala justice, kasi parang ang dating sa kanila is yung mga may hirap lang naman ang napapatay. Ayan, diba? Pero sabagay, hindi, Marami mga mayor pa ang napatay. Diba? Pero ganun nga, parang we need to restore that, trust sa judiciary, sa pamamagitan ng kooperasyon sa pandaigdigang institution like ICC. O kasi pag hindi natin siya sinunod, parang sabihin, okay, so hindi pala natin ina-associate yung sarili natin sa justice, no? Number 8 would be the obligation yun nga, natin sa international community. We are part of the international community and hindi naman tayo ganyang kalakas na nation. Yes, tumiwalag tayo sa ICC, pero merong I would say merong technicalities, no, na nung nagkangyayari yung mga human rights violation, extrajudicial killing, we were still part of the ICC. Saka parang yung pag-alis natin doon, wouldn't it mean na we don't have regard for human rights? That's why we were willing to remove ourselves from a collection of countries that believe in human rights. Parang hindi magandang yun, 'di ba? So kailangan tungkulin din natin na sumunod sa mga pandaigdigang batas, and then itaguyod yung principles of justice and human rights. And I would say I will put at number 9 the last point for the support of the arrest would be yung pagbibigay ng hustisya, justice at least, no, for the marginalized people, especially yung mga talagang sabihin na natin nasagasaan ng konti dito sa, actually hindi konti dahil may namatay, no. Kailangan protektahan natin yung mga mahihirap at marginalized sa sector na pinaka naapektuhan ng drug war, especially kung yun nga yung mga kwento ng mga bata na wala namang kinalaman, na pagkamalan lang, no, sa dilim ng gabi o kaya talagang sinadya, no, para talagang magmukhang negatibo yung drug war, no. Marami ka naiisip tungkol dyan, no. Pero rightly or wrongly, it would not have happened kung wala yung drug war in the first place, no. Yeah, no. So those are, I would say, the 9 areas of or points, no, of contention. No, so narinig ko pa nga kanina, sabi ng spokesperson, hindi naman kami yung nag-aresto. Bakit kayo, di ba, pinapatupad lang naman namin yung batas na international law, di ba? So why would you be against the government when we were just implementing what is truly the work of the government, di ba? Parang governance or yung right of the government and responsibility pa of the government to do it. Okay? Now for those naman na tutol dun sa pag-aresto, ito yung kabilang side, no? And then marami din to. So number 1 would be the contention na this is a violation of the sovereignty of the country. Maaring this will weaken yung integrity and independence ng sistema ng hustisya sa Philippines, especially those who have the contention na teka, merong rules pala yun, no? Pag hinainan ka ng ganyan, I have not validated this, boss. Siyempre, abogado yung nagsasalita. Dapat, iharap mo muna siya sa isang competent authority, judiciary. And actually, it's, di ba, total, dito rin naman yan naganap yung war on drugs, and the family members are here. What is he doing in The Hague, no? In Amsterdam, right? So parang it's an overkill. It's like ganun ang tingin ng mga Duterte, no? Parang gusto mo siyang hiyain at i-humiliate to show everybody na ito yung presidente ninyo, no? He is a war criminal. He is an international criminal, a violator of human rights. That's why he was arrested. So parang ganun. with that arrest, parang, bakit? Wala ba tayong korte dito? Bakit nila dun sa The Hague agad, no? Bakit si Putin, for example, meron din siyang, crime against humanity, or si Netanyahu, hindi sinusurrender ng bansa nila. Kasi nga, we have sovereignty. Do you think that we need you in order to parang patupad yung justice system dito? Parang ganun, no? And with that, parang nilalabag natin yung sovereignty ng bansa. Number 2, we have the principle of the just war, no? Yung kampanya laban sa droga, maaring matuturing na digmaan, no? Laban sa kasamaan sa lipunan. And in a just war principle, maaring may batayan ang matinding aksyon laban sa kriminalidad. So when a person dies in war, during the war, the killing is not really like a point of moral turpitude or something, no? Parang it's a merong war, of course someone will be killed, and this is not like a negative kind of war. This is a just war. There's a principle here. We want to rid the nation of criminals. Okay, and so number 3, collateral damage. Hindi talaga may iwasan na may mga inosenteng madadamay dahil sa law enforcement action. Kailangan mo sugpuin yung mga mas malawak na kasamaan, and meron talagang matatamaan dyan dahil nga yung masasamang loob, no? The criminals themselves are using the innocent in order to discredit the war on drugs. Diba? Parang pwedeng yung mga nagre-report sa kanila, no? Yung mga spies nila, mga assets nila, ay tinuro yung isang hindi naman totoo para lang, natin to, kailangan siraan natin tong para mawala yung credibility ng war on drugs. And then meron talaga doon mga honest mistakes, di ba? So, yun, may mga ganun eh. And gumugulong naman yung kaso, di ba? May file naman ng kaso, although yung iba hindi talaga umaayos, hindi umaamin, natural, no? So, yan. So, yan yung nila. Yung legalidad ng death penalty would be number 4 at enforcement. So, mga bansang may legal na death penalty, yung pagpatay ng estado ay itinuturing na legitimate at hindi na kailangan bigyan ng dagdag na katwiran or justification, di ba? Parang, if there's a death penalty, like in the States, there is meron kang mga pinatay ng mga tao, commit ka ng heinous crime, the state is mandated, in fact, legal obligation to kill that person who's a criminal. And kumbaga meron kang death penalty ba ang tawag dun. So parang meron ka ng parang shoot to kill na yung sa iyo, di ba? And parang yung iba nga, meron ako narinig dito dati when I was in the bank, na bakit ganun yung mga criminals, no? Binaboy nila yung batas, tapos nung sila ay inuusig, dun sila nagkakanlong sa batas, no? Na bigyan nyo kami ng due process or something. Ang dami napapatay ng drugs din, no? Marami nasisira din sa lipunan, and yet, hindi natin nakikita yon. Parang yung right pa ng mga criminals yung ating pinoprotektahan. So, yun yung mga issue dyan, no? So, yung kampanya ay pagiging, just war principle and all that, no? And then number 5 would be yung support ng public kay Duterte. Malawak yung kanyang naging suporta ng mga Pilipino sa kanyang matapang na pamumuno laban sa droga. And I would say a lot of people, especially in the streets, ay natuwa, no? Kasi imbis na naman, parang sa Davao, no? Every time I go there, paggabi naglalakad ka sa sa kalye, even the people are saying, "Sir, wag kayo matakot sa amin, no? Takot po kami kay Mayor." Naalala ko nung unang punta ko sa Davao, ganun eh. So parang syempre, sanay ako ng Manila na paggabi, halos Kung maaari nga magdala ka ng baril eh. Para lang yung, you know what I mean? No? Siyempre, kailangan legal yung pagdadala mo, no? Kasi sobrang, di ba? Kaya nga tayo nasaktan nung sinabi ni ano eh, sino nga ba yan? Dan Brown na Manila ano, is on the gates of hell eh, di ba? Sabi ko, it's not on the gates of hell, it is hell itself. And so, totoo lang, no? Dami talagang mga nangyayari, no? Sa lalo na sa cities, sa NCR, na talagang, lalo na pag ganyan, no? Dumadako na yung dilim, ayan, dami nangyayari talaga yan. So, it was really supported, especially, I would say the silent majority, no? Number 6 would be yung panganib, yung dangers sa mga police and authority. Kung hindi kasi sinuportahan ang mga police, o kung hindi susuportahan, maaaring mas talo silang mapahamak sa pagtugon sa kriminalidad, no? O nga pala sila hindi nyo humuli kay Duterte. Parang ang irony, no? Pero, di ba, pag hindi mo sila sinuportahan, so what would they do? Pagdating doon sa point na mag-aresto na sila, mag-hesitate yan kasi nga hindi naman, you don't have my back, so why would I go all out on this, diba? Kaya nga even sa states, no, ang daming mga issue on yung mga naging overkill kasi nga anong nangyayari ay, diba, parang ang mga police ay na ano tuloy ng overkill, kaya nga may mga katakot-takot na ano yun eh, na review na meron kang ano pa dito sa katawan mo, body camera and all that, and yet ang dami pa rin nagfa-file ng case against sa mga police force kasi nga pag ganun, di ba, yung meron kang a-arrest, sigurado may danger yan, no? Kasi unang-una heightened yung situation, di ba? Yeah, no? So number 7 issue would be yung national division, yun, pagkakahiwa-hiwalay, pagkakahati-hati. Yung aresto ay posibleng magpalalim ng hidwaan at pagkahati-hati ng lipunan, no? So the more we will be polarized as a nation. Okay? Number 8, ang mga Filipinos na against doon sa pag-arrest, no, is medyo duda sila sa impartiality ng ICC. So parang the fact na nag-imbestiga sila dito sa atin ng mga interview na hindi naman nila in-interview lahat ng parte, no, ng imaman, hindi naman nila tinawag yung mga akusado. So parang madududa ka sa impartiality ng ICC dahil usually pag kinuli ka niyan, no, parang may bias na eh, di ba? Yung ICC kasi kinuli ka na nga eh. So parang alam mo na ikaw ay hatulan, no? So yan. Next would be yung danger ng influence ng mga drug lord, no? May posibilidad na yung pag-aresto ay tactics ng mga criminals themselves or even mga drug lords para ipagpatuloy yung mga negosyo nila, no? Para wala nang hadlang sa isang mahigpit na leader na maaaring magbalik pa, no? Kagaya ni Duterte or their families. Parang, di ba, it's a rally on the person who's willing to make that great sacrifice, so to speak, na siya yung maging mukhang masama para lang talagang, kasi medyo malalim na yung talamak na yung drug. Naalala ko nga dito yung nangyari sa China no, yung Opium War, di ba? Merong isang leader ng China na sabi niya hindi maganda 'to nangyayari, no? Wala na halos gusto magtrabaho, lahat nag-opium na lang. So, yun, no? They tried to cleanse the nation of those illegal drugs, yung opiate, no? Nung sinunog niya yung mga goods na yon, quote unquote, di syempre sinumbong naman ng mga British, Great Britain, no? Itong hinihiya nila tayo. How dare they, do that to us? So they declared war on China, and then eventually the rest is history. China was forced to relinquish. Sila pa yung naparusahan, sila pa yung nagkamali, no? Sila pa yung nagbayad ng katakot-takot na silver. 'Di ba? Parang anong ginawa namin? Pinotektahan lang namin yung aming bansa. Di ba masama ang ang opium? Bakit niyo yung ginagawa dito? Tinagkakalat kayo ng masamang dito. So tinapon niyo yung iba, sinunog, di ba? So sila pa ngayon ang natalo, no? They had to sacrifice Hong Kong. Tapos after some couple of years or so, Boxer Rebellion, no? And naman, ang daming bansa na sa kanya, no? Pinagsalikup-salikupan ng China, no? Japan was also part of that, no? Kaya medyo malalim yung hidwaan ng mga yan. And the US even was part of that. No, parang kaya si China ba yung tingin niya sa West Philippine Sea, yung pinagmumulan niya medyo matindi. So in a way, pwede mo siya ikumpara na, teka, ganun din yung ginagawa natin, sa dulo kami pa masama, no? Hindi ba dapat nating suportahan yung taong nagbibigay sa atin ng pag-asa to get rid of criminality here in the Philippines brought about by drugs? Kasi ganun nga nangyayari. We cannot protect our border. That is why favorite na favorite tayo ng mga ng mga criminal elements. Kasi dito sila dumadaan. May nakita nga akong sa Netflix na ewan ko kung bakit hindi pinag-uusapan yan sa media. No, for many years meron ditong isang celebrated na drug syndicate person, parang mob boss who stayed here in the Philippines for a long time. It was even sa Makati, he was even being supported by local police. So hindi siya mahuli-huli. That is why ang ginawa na lang ng mga CIA, parang gano'n, no? CIA, FBI, he was lured to go to another country, and during the travel, nung pagpunta niya sa, I think in Africa, somewhere in Africa, that's where he was arrested. Pero had he stayed in the Philippines, he would not have, he would have stayed here for a long time because of the fact that he's being supported by these people, drug lords, politicians, mga police. They have everything under their pocket. Mga parang iniisip ng ibang against, no, na eto takati kayo ng mga kriminal, mga drug lords para ipagpatuloy na yung negosyo nila. Kasi parang Duterte is a person na he stood firm sa drug war. Parang ganun, no? And yun. Lastly, yun nga, yung magiging malalim na hidwaan sa Philippines would be brought about by this, no? So, dapat daw ang government hindi sinusuportahan yun kasi nga ang ibang nation, marami din naman silang mga leaders na talagang naging firm and sa eyes ng mundo, parang katulad ng halimbawa, no, si Chairman Mao. I know this is a bad example. These are bad examples, no? Some are bad examples. But legitimately, if you look at it, no, parang ganun, no? Hitler was is a person na condemned by history, no? But there are some people, for example, in Germany, who would be saying that had he not become the leader of that nation, di sana hindi nila naramdaman yung hinaing ng mga German people na napahiya maigi doon sa Versailles Treaty, right? So, it's a cry for help, it's a cry for unfair treatment. Di ba? Kung hindi dumating si Chairman Mao na hini-unite ang China, siguro after ng Opium War, wala na. Talagang hati-hati na yung China and it would be devastated. He was the one who united China. Of course, due to that past, ang tingin ng mga West is that, ang dami namatay, nagkaroon ng famine, etc., bad policy, and all that. So, actually, ethnic cleansing yung ginawa ni Chairman Mao. So, ang dami negative thoughts about that. But, ako, may nakakausap akong mga estudyante ko na Chinese. And they're saying, and again, I'm not a Maoist, but they're saying na what their leader did for the country is something that cannot be repaid. So the West might see him in a different light, but this is the effort of one man to unite China. And sabi niya, we owe it to our ancestors, our forefathers, mga ano daw niya, mga lolo, ganyan na even daw mga bata, mga babae na umaalis maagang maaga, and after nila magtrabaho, they rebuilt China. And kung yung ibang bansa daw took 400, 500 years to be where they are right now, we did it in 100 years. Totoo naman kasi after ng Opium War, yung 100 years of shame na tinatawag, talagang hindi mo maisip kung paano sila nakarating sa ngayon. And it was due to, of course, ang daming namatay doon sa process na yun. Ang daming sinacrifice. Pero, yun, di ba? Kung tatanungin mo yung Chinese, sasabihin nila hindi yun ganun. It's just a necessary sacrifice. Collateral damage. Maybe they would even say that. We didn't will that to happen. Pwede sabihin nilang ganun. So it's just an indirect result of what we're doing. If they are not for us, then they're against us. So why would we keep us? Why would we keep them in this nation of ours? Ganun yung idea. You only have the right to be called Filipino kung naniniwala ka sa ideas ng Philippines. So kung hindi at ikaw ay masamang tao, you just want to continue with your drugs and your power and your misuse of power, then you're free to go. And if you will make a commotion, we are willing to, lay down, and be firm about this. If you're willing to kill for drugs, then we're also willing to kill you. Parang ganon. And ayan, daming naisip dyan, no? Lee Kuan Yew, during the rebuilding of Singapore, marami ng negative feeling about them. Masyadong maigpit, ganito ganyan. Sa atin nga, meron pa tayong floor contemplation case, no? And some people are saying, ano yan? Human rights abuse. Diba? Human rights violation. And yet, if you will, any right-minded individual, not only from Singapore but from all over the world, would say Lee Kuan Yew is one of the greatest leaders that ever existed, that ever graced the planet. And he is the kind of leader that Singapore needed at the time. And without him, Singapore would just be a land of gangs. Ganun naman talaga sila nung before, no? He rid them of these people. Naalala ko nga when I went to Singapore, I think almost 10 years now, baka sobra pa. I spoke to one person there, no, in may school eh. Sabi ng babae, nung daw yung kanilang prime minister ba siya, sabi niya before, naalala pa daw niya kasi 50 years old siya noong time na yun, parang pa lang ako 40 plus, so she was clearly older than me, and she was saying, I'm already 50, but I remember our Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, nung daw silang bata pa, sa kalye daw, ang dami daw yung mga bubble gum na nakadikit, no? Tapos daming gang wars, ganyan. So, he was instrumental. And talagang pag narinig mo yung salita niya, talagang halos nagsishaver pa yung boses niya. Talagang bilib na bilib talaga siya. Kita mo naman, di ba? I mean, you know where we are right now. Sabi ko sa kanya, in our country, we still have those bubble gum. Pag nga po, magdudot ka sa napapadikit ang kamay mo, for example, sa ilalim ng sa silya ng mga bata sa school, even sa mga public places, may mga nagdidikit pa rin. Sabi niya, don't worry, sir. You will get there. And that's already 10 years ago. Sabi ko, yung problema, we don't have a Lee Kuan Yew. Kaya when Duterte came out as some sort of a strong person, strong man like that, no? Parang sa tingin ko, well, in the Philippines, lalo na sa Asian countries, parang we need a person na strong. Hindi po pwedeng malamya rito sa atin, sa Asian country. Kailangan talaga strong ka. Siguro nasobrahan lang ng pagiging strong si Tatay Diggs natin. No? So, yun ang medyo, medyo negative dun sa nangyari. So dito sa ating sitwasyon, siyempre nag-aantay pa tayo ng mga susunod na kabanata, no? Pero maraming issue Merong issue diyan tungkol sa legality, merong issue tungkol sa bakit naman isinuko, ganun, no? Walang isang salita. Akala ko pa hindi susuport, ganun. Maraming sinasabi, si Marcos ganito, halatang halata na na gusto lang nilang i-get rid si di ba? Si further weekend. Kaso parang lalong nag-unite yung parang negative, parang mali yung naging tactics kung yun ang gagawin nila. So, I mean, siguro, nasa dilemma din sila kung itutuloy ba nila o hindi. Wala naman silang choice. Pero pwedeng hindi nila yun, kahit may, di ba, may arrest warrant, Ang nakalagay naman sa rule, ipabigay mo siya sa competent authority, So, pwede siyang itry dito sa atin, Bakit kailangan dahig, di ba? O bakit, for example, I'm sure, nadudun yan, nasa website even. As of March, I think may narinig ko, as of March 10, walang nakalagay sa website ng ICC, no, na warrant. Baka hindi lang updated, no? Pero, ang tagal na nandoon si Putin, ang tagal na nandoon si Netanyahu, and yet their countries are not surrendering them individually because they believe na hindi naman kami under ng ICC. We have a country to run here and you are clearly mistaken. No? So, halimbawa, yung Prime Minister or ano ba siya, President ng North Korea, I mean, North Korea doesn't care kung ano man yung sinasabi niyo dyan dahil, di ba, we have a country to run and if we think na yung president namin sablay or whatever, we can file a case here and then, lalong mas magiging negative pa kung inaamin natin na hindi natin siya kayang i-try at i-resolve yung mga issues ng EJK dito sa Philippines at kailangan pa natin yung ICC to resolve it. So, parang natatakot pa kayo dito sa backlash niyan. Diba? So, those are the things I would say. No? So, in conclusion, parang ChatGPT na naman tayo. In conclusion, I would say na talagang this is a very peculiar situation for us. No? Yung Philippines naharap talaga sa very critical na time or situation na kailangan ng malawakang dialogue, no? So, kailangan siguro papag-usapan para linawin yung mga tunay na prinsipyo, no? The true principles of justice, democracy, and sovereignty upang maging gabay yun, no, sa hinaharap ng ating bansa, no? So, we need to be I would say calm-headed. Alam natin yung both sides. For example, I've always believed in, siyempre, goodness. Natural yan, no? Naalala ko nga ang turo, siyempre, ng moral theology sa UST. Naalala ko lagi. Ang intrinsic evil cannot be made good by circumstances. It will remain to be evil. So, killing in itself is intrinsically evil, or else it will not be part of the commandments. 'Di ba? Kasi kung mabuti yung killing kung hindi ikaw yung pinapatay, paano pa ikaw na pinapatay? Number 1 yan, fundamental right yan to live, no? So pag tinanggal, in fact, yun ang unang crime, well, aside from, violating or disobeying God, but yung unang crime against humanity is the killing of Abel, 'di ba? So, kumbaga, nagkaroon nga siya ng marka, no, si Cain. Dahil nga pinatay niya yung kapatid niya. So, masabi natin doon na talagang killing in itself, per se, is intrinsically evil. No amount of justification can make it good. Siyempre, meron kang mga pwedeng factors na sabihin diyan, not to justify it, to make it less of an evil. But the act remains evil. Kumbaga, ang point ng, lalo sa simbahan, no, hindi yan ang magiging solusyon. Kasi the more you will perpetrate it, the more the society will believe that you need to kill people to protect people. You need to violate the right to live in order to protect other people's right to live. Diba? Siyempre, sa kabilang side naman, sasabihin, well, if you want to enjoy peace, you have to be ready to go to war for it. And this is not just principles or philosophy or ethics or theology. This is real life. And it's been written in the history of mankind since the beginning of time. So, kumbaga parang napaka rose-colored naman ang iyong salamin. Napaka-naive mo naman kung naniniwala ka na you will just talk to these people and put a bunch of psychologists and psychiatrists to them, or preachers to them, and they will suddenly flip over and say, sorry, hindi na kami bebenta ng drugs. Hindi. These are criminals. These people, they mean business and they will not change. So you have to put them behind bars or put them 6 feet under. Kung, siyempre, napapatunayan mo dapat kung talagang nanlaban sila, at hindi mo talaga sila binigyan ng reason para manlaban, etc. Para lang mapatay mo sila. So, alam mo yung in-between Pero, nasa konsyensya ng mga taong yan. Sila lang ang makakalamit. Parang it's between them and God. And yun nga, yung mali ng mga sinasabi nating mga vigilante is that parang pinalagay mo na yung kamay mo, yung batas sa kamay mo. So, hindi na sila nakapagsalita basta mo na lang sila pinatay. Paano yung mga naging biktima lang pala? No? So, syempre marami yan. If you're going to get rid of the criminals, and I would say the criminals would number about, let's say lang, 5%. Yung 5% na yun, so 100 million, 5 million yun. Kaya sabi niya 60,000 na baka nga hindi lang. I mean, ibig sabihin ko, kung ganun yung papatayin natin, 5%, that means 5 million agad ang mawawala, di ba? Kung titinan mo nga, baka mas madami pa ang kailangan mong alisin sa Pilipinas Hindi mo kailangan patayin, but alisin. Kasi wala naman sila idudulot na mabuti. Pag uuwi ng gabi yung anak mo, at ang anak mo nagkataong babae, dumadaan sa mga ganyan madidilim na lugar. So isipin mo, di ba? Anong capable na gawin ng mga drug addicts na yan? Hindi tayo naapektuhan kasi hindi naman dito tayo sa mga magandang bahay, naka-air condition tayo, may gwardiya yung ating mga subdivision. How about sa streets ng Manila, ng Quezon City? Diyan, sa mga madidilim na mga lugar na yan. Paano na? Sinong tatanggol sa kanila, di ba? So, pag mayroong mga, yun nga, na hindi na naman maayos ang pagpapatupad ng batas, kalat na naman ang drugs. Oo, ayun na naman. May marami na namang runners at ayun, tingi-tingi na naman na binibenta. Di ba? So, medyo yan. Yan ang kailangan nating i-resolve as a nation. How do we maintain the middle ground? Diba? So, that's it for now. Let's see what will happen next time. So, this has been George Atento, Dr. George, and I hope to see you again. Or, to be with you again in the next episode.